Live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, a pale blue dot out there somewhere. The United States of America, Los Angeles, California to be specific. Hello everybody, my name is Brian Engelman. Welcome to Agree to Disagree here on the TNAM radio network, part of the newamericanmedia.com. Thank you for joining us. We're going to have special guest co-host Blake the Eccentric Walley. On today's program, we're going to be talking about the New York City Marathon. Breaking news, it has been canceled. Breaking within the last couple of moments, so we're going to get to that story. We're going to talk about Benghazi. What's going on in Libya? Benghazi? I thought Obama's great with terrorism, and he got bin Laden, right? What's this Benghazi thing? We'll talk about it. Germany might want to see its gold, and the Federal Reserve might not be allowing them to see it? I don't know. Is there any truth to that story? We'll explore, and we'll recap everything that we've learned about this 2012 election season. We're only a few days away from your chance to vote. Obamni, Robama. Does it make a difference? What about that Gary Johnson fella? You gonna write in Mickey Mouse? Are you gonna write in Ron Paul? I don't even know. I don't even know what the smart play on that is anymore. It's so tough to try to figure out if it even makes any difference. I just know that it's time to fire this head coach. I think I've seen enough of the past 4 years. We're ready to see a change. I'm hopeful that there will be some change in our government moving forward. But before we get into all of that election stuff, we're going to lead with the breaking news. New York City Marathon canceled. To do so, we're going to bring in special guest Blake the Eccentric Walley. Blake, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing very well, Brian.
Welcome to the program. I want to let everybody know first that Blake and I co-host. I usually co-host with him on Monday over at freedomizerradio.com, and he does a radio show there every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday from noon to 1:30 p.m. Pacific. It's called Eccentric Perspective. Go check that out, and make sure that you, if you dig what we're up to, go ahead and sign up for the podcast. Go to iTunes and search Eccentric Perspective, and you can go ahead and get your podcast delivered to you, fresh to your doorstep. Love iTunes. Blake is over on Twitter at Eccentric99, ECCENTRIC 99, and his homepage is eccentricperspective.com. If you're not currently following the New American Media, please do so. We are on Twitter at American_media_, American_media_. Search The New American Media on Facebook. Go ahead and like our page. Thank you very much. Leave some comments there. And subscribe to our YouTube page, youtube.com/The New American Media. Last point of business before we get moving with the breaking news and the highlights of the week here. Just go ahead and take a look at our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. We've left up our interview with Libertarian presidential candidate Gary Johnson, former New Mexico governor. He will be on the ballot, I believe, in at least 48 of the 50 states. I'm not sure if they got onto those other two or not, but you get to make your decision on Tuesday. Blake, what's going on with this New York City Marathon here? Because we're getting this breaking news, and it's really coming in. Maybe.
You got a breaking news. I saw breaking news on Twitter. I'm still trying to dig up a article, but maybe perhaps nobody has penned one up yet, because is it really that fresh? I mean, it was literally like 2 minutes ago that I'd seen this marathon potentially canceled, but there's no article yet.
I did just find one.
You got one.
Well,
you got it? You got a blurb?
I'm getting bits and pieces, and we'll go ahead and we just sent this out on our Twitter feed. That's why, that's why we really always lead off our shows making sure that you follow us on Twitter, link up on Facebook, because we only do a few radio shows a week, Blake. I mean, you do 3 over at Eccentric Perspective at freedomizerradio.com. We do a couple of special shows, but we usually always broadcast on Fridays here at thenewamericanmedia.com. But in between, a lot of news is happening. This is coming from Reuters. Reuters top news at Reuters. It says organizers will say shortly that marathon will be canceled, citing an NYC official. Reuters is pretty solid news agency.
Yeah,
usually.
This is hot off the wire. Well, at least they're up to date. Yes, the Associated Press, Reuters. Yeah.
Well, let's bring it back, because there's been a controversy going on now. I mean, I remember Kanye West talking about George Bush not caring about people in New Orleans. What a lovely moment that was, and just how horrible Brownie was when he was running FEMA, and all the disasters of our federal government's ability to get things going under FEMA, as if it's really their job to take care of everything cradle to grave in your life, and it's not your responsibility to have your own generator, your own backup plans, your own clean drinking water, your own extras of medication, your own sanitary options. We should all have backup plans, but people are really criticizing the marathon right now, saying you're taking generators away from where people need to use them. You're taking resources away. You're diverting the police attention. The city's not ready for this right now. What are your thoughts on it, Blake?
That's funny, because that's the exact article I've got right in front of me is off of that Breitbart right now. Yeah, Bloomberg diverts food generators from devastated Staten Island to New York City Marathon. So, it seems like a couple days ago, everyone was praising Michael Bloomberg for the great job that he was doing, and I'm not criticizing anything about that. I have problems with his ideology, but in this event, I think he handled himself very well, and Chris Christie and Obama even. Yes, George Bush was absolutely horrible during Katrina, but I think you could give a kudos to Obama. But I mean, you're right in front of the election. I mean, this way he had everything riding on it. Of course, he had to look strong. But of course, I don't know exactly why they thought they were going to have this marathon. I don't follow the marathon a whole lot. I know it's a huge event. I believe they get people from all over the world that come in there. So they've already been planning this months in advance, had their flights ready to come to New York. Nobody expected to see a giant hurricane, so maybe they were trying to do everything and please everybody. But it became clear that the city just wasn't ready, especially, Staten Island is a disaster zone right now. They're not ready to host a marathon. They don't have the resources. There was a lot of criticism, and I think they just finally had to do the right thing and shut it down. At least that's according to the latest wire. I mean, literally, we're like a few minutes from hearing that breaking news, because we were getting set to criticize this.
We can still criticize it. Come on, let's still criticize. What's going on now, it strikes me, because you're seeing these photos of people lined up around the block. It really reminds me of the Jimmy Carter administration. All of that old grainy footage that you saw during the last time we had a Democratic president with this lousy of a track record with the economy, with energy prices, with foreign policy, and ambassadors getting killed in the Middle East. I mean, it really, in so many ways, is a complete repeat of the Jimmy Carter administration. And remember, he was a one-term president, so don't feel bad doing it to this guy again in a few days on Tuesday. I don't care who you vote for, but we're officially endorsing anyone but Barack Obama, but we're not supporting Mitt Romney here at the New American Media. But I'm watching these videos now where lines wrapped around the block trying to get gasoline. And my question, Blake, I'm just thinking about it. It's 2012. You're telling me you can't pull up into some parking lot with a gas tanker full of to kind of set up in a parking lot and just say, hey, we are now a mobile, pardon the pun if mobile were actually the brand, right. and I think it should be, call it mobile, set up in a parking lot somewhere, anywhere, and just say, hey, we're now a gas station, come get some gas over here. And if there's a difference that FEMA might want to kick in a few bucks to pay for the delivery driver and the hours he's out there working and the cost it would take to go set out this mobile truck. I mean, it just shocks me that there aren't mobile gas stations. I haven't seen any reports of mobile gas stations popping up to just ease the burden on the few places that still have gasoline. Just talk about the energy shortage, if you would, because I know you've been watching the same stuff we have. Yeah,
it's weird to even say there's an energy shortage, because, I mean, the fuel, a lot of it's right there. It's sitting in these huge buildings on the Jersey Turnpike, but they don't have electricity, so they're unable to pump the gas. So it's like the resources are right there and nobody can access anything. So it's a really tough situation. That's just got to be awful to be. I've heard there's lines and they're like 2 miles long over in Newark. I can only imagine what a nightmare that's got to be when you need to get somewhere and you're out of fuel. So, and then people standing in line getting fuel for their generators, the people with those big gas tanks. So, yeah, just a disaster.
Well, you know, that kind of reminds me of that Twilight Zone episode. I believe it's something where there's this guy, and I haven't seen it in a while. Forgive me if I butcher the premise of it, but where the guy
might know it.
He just wants to read. You know, he just kind of wants to be left alone and read, and he never has time. And then the world ends. It's a nuclear bomb or something, and he's inside of a library, nothing but time. And he turns around, his glasses fall off, and he steps on his glasses. So there you are. You have all the time in the world.
Irony.
Yeah, it's the irony of it all, and it's. Yeah, I find it hard to believe there's not some sort of manual override switch where you can manually pump out the gas somehow. It's sitting there and it's underground. You just can't get to it. It seems so ridiculous that in 2012 we don't have a backup plan for the backup plan. I don't know.
There's the bad disaster, especially with like nuclear generators. Fortunately, nothing happened, and we didn't get a Fukushima type of thing going on, and they got the generators shut down, because that could have been a whole different ball game on top of that as well. So there's worries about are we prepared for certain things like that, or if there's a solar type of event that could have an EMP type effect on certain structures that we have that could really do a lot of damage with nuclear facilities and such. So I don't know.
Well, that NBC show Revolution that I always talk about, I guess it's pretty well viewed. It's getting some good viewers, good ratings, and it's 15 years after the power goes off and doesn't come back on. I mean, we're getting reports that people are using the bathroom in the hallway. You know, they're in these apartments, and there's no electricity to pump the water to flush the toilets, and sanitation is becoming a big issue. You know, and it's all of this stuff starts to roll and kind of cascade upon each other like a set of dominoes, you know, one clickety-clacking the next one in front of it, and it's like one problem sets off 10 more problems. And a lot of it just reminds us how completely vulnerable we are. Some people say in 2012 there's supposed to be some sort of solar event. It could be an EMP. It could be a pole shift. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens on December 21st. But if the power goes off and doesn't come back on, I mean, they're a couple of days into this, and it's already chaos. What if this happened nationwide?
No, yeah, good points, Brian. What are they doing to prevent these sorts of things? And, New York's interesting. It's got like a lot of old infrastructure there. So, but I mean, outside of Staten Island and South Manhattan, well, I mean, I don't want to say, there's been damage everywhere. Certainly there's a lot of people that are suffering right now, and to be at the mercy of FEMA and Chucky Schumer isn't necessarily the best place to be, but I think they're doing what they can, so I don't know. Hopefully they'll just get this fixed up, and hopefully, yes, they can cancel this marathon and look at the bigger picture here. People need these resources like they've never needed it before. It's just a lot of bad timing, I guess, but oh well. So I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to postpone the marathon or just wait till next year. Who knows?
Well, I mean, 150 years ago there wasn't power. Hang on, I didn't do the math precise. Let's say a couple hundred years ago there was no power. I forget exactly what year that was.
Or Thomas Edison, yeah.
And then some smartass will type something in on the feed when we put this up on YouTube or embedded on the newamericanmedia.com. Hey, idiot, it was 142 years ago. No, it was 99. I don't know exactly what it was, but yes.
Well, yeah, before they actually had like electricity in people's homes and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. Thomas Edison, what was that? That was probably right around the turn of the 20th century there. Him and Tesla, rivals. That's another story altogether. But
this country didn't used to have electricity. We didn't used to rely on it like we do now. And I think
maybe
it's very
street lamps
dangerous.
or something. Yeah, I don't even know about that.
Yeah, I mean oil-filled lamps and
right.
Lanterns and
kerosene,
candles and kerosene and whale blubber. I mean,
yeah.
We have come a long way, and it's like, wow, look at us, we're so awesome. We have all this technology and these really cool tablets and all this neat instant communication on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. It's so great, but it's also made us ridiculously vulnerable. And do you think people are starting to understand how completely vulnerable we are? Or is this one of those, we have a disaster with Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy, you know, it's tough for a little bit and then people forget. Do you think people are waking up to becoming preppers and trying to take responsibility for their own lives and having a backup plan if you got to flee? Or do you think more people are just continuously relying on a federal government to sweep in and save the day like a superhero?
Both. I mean, I think a lot of people just they can't believe that something could happen like that to them. And I think a lot of people got a major reality check that lived in Staten Island and Lower Manhattan and Queens that just didn't think that you know, they could get hit by a massive hurricane. That's actually, or maybe they thought, you know, hey, it's going to hit, it's going to be a bad storm, but they had absolutely no idea the devastation that they were in for, and it was, you know, very easily preventable. You know, unless your, you know, home literally got taken down or something like that. So I don't know. I feel bad for all the people that don't have extra food supplies and, you know, blankets or what have you, and that have to rely on the Red Cross and FEMA. And I mean, they've got limited resources as well, and you know, it's tough to be dependent on that. You're in a very vulnerable situation, and that's not good.
No, I would agree. By the way, Edison patented a system for electricity distribution in 1880, which was essential to capitalize on the invention of the electric lamp. On December 17, 1880, Edison founded the Edison Illuminating Company. So 1880 to 2012, what is that, 132 years? So not quite 150, not quite 100.
Yeah,
come on,
very
ballpark.
Close. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
by the time we're, yeah.
What's that?
Oh, so those are the inventions. Then how long did it take before it actually became something that people had in their homes and all that, where people started getting wiring and, you know, into the infrastructure? Yeah, I'm not really sure the exact timeline of how, you know, electricity came to be, you know, in every home and everything.
Well, and Nikola Tesla was a very interesting character as well. There was a battle there to see who actually invented it first and which technology was superior and how that. It's an interesting story to dig into Tesla, because a lot of people are getting back to it now, saying that, hey, there might be a way to get some free energy here without all this infrastructure, without having to pay for, you know, it's like having to pay for rainwater. Well, that doesn't belong to someone, and some cities actually put people in jail for catching your own rainwater on your roof. I mean, you know, our own Department of Homeland Security says, well, if you have more than X amount days of supplies in your home, you might be a terrorist. But then they're like, well, you better be prepared for a storm. Well, what is it? If you're prepared, you're a potential terrorist. You can't, you know, some places don't let you catch your own rainwater, and then say, well, I can't believe they didn't prepare. I can't believe they're so vulnerable. And it's like we're getting conflicting messages from this lunatic White House. I just, it really puts it into perspective when they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, saying two completely opposite things at the same time. I just find the mixed message really confusing, Blake.
Oh, yeah, it really blows up in their face when they're, you know, who's going to hold them accountable and put it in their face? Like, why are you saying that if you have more than 7 days of food, you're considered a potential terrorist? That's just completely asinine, especially when this country has been through the Great Depression. And there's all kinds of other reasons. So there's other motives for why they would do that, but they're conspiracy theory stuff I don't want to necessarily get into. But that's another story for another day, why they would say something like that. And then, of course, you're seeing the devastation here. So, yeah, it's conflicting. Yes, as you said, talking out of both sides of their mouth doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, you know, something else that doesn't make a lot of sense is this whole Benghazi story. So why don't we do this, Blake? Let's take a quick pause here. If you're listening live, this will take just a matter of seconds. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, number one, thank you. And number two, please click subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media. Subscribe to our stuff. We put a lot of different content out there. Sift through it. Leave your mostly civil comments, please. And follow us on Twitter. You can find us at American_media_. We'll come back. We'll talk Benghazi with Blake, the eccentric Walley. Blake is a radio host and blogger. You can find him on his homepage at Eccentric. eccentricperspective.com. You can sign up for his podcast on iTunes by searching Eccentric Perspective, and you can find him on freedomizerradio.com every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday from noon to 1:30 p.m. Pacific. We'll be right back on the other side with this brief station identification break here on the TNAM Radio Network.
You are listening to the New American Media.